back, my friends. I have found my words, and those words are, we got ourselves a series. TSM strike back in game number 3. They look good doing it. They found the plays. They set themselves up for success, and there were a couple pretty big differences between the players in these roles. Mid lane's going to be where everybody's eyes were at. Jensen had a very poor Orianna game, while Power of Evil finally put the power in his name after 2 underwhelming Azir games. He pops off on the Syndra.
Yeah, he was incredible on the Syndra. I think Spica was huge for them as well. A lot of proactive plays being made by him on the Lee Sin. But TSM are going to be forced back to the red side. They lost both their first 2 games with side selection. They chose to go to red side, lost 2 in a row.
Yep.
They mix it up. They go blue. They win that game. So can they recreate a similar draft here on the red side? That is the major question for me.
Okay.
These top laners have not been very successful on the red side. And TSM, I think, really both teams are probably going to be looking more towards early game champs than we would have thought coming into this series. We've just seen how successful some of these power picks are. Things like the Bard that were completely out of left field have now been in multiple games, been very successful. And things like the Syndra, like the LeBlanc, are outperforming the Azir, outperforming the Orianna. So it does feel like there's a little bit of a paradigm shift.
And that's really fun to see, especially in the middle of a series and how it progresses and how it evolves and what it changes. Our bans are already done here in the first half of the draft. It's Viego, Leona, Renekton, Gangplank, Thresh, and, well, one more. I lied. I was hoping that they were going to finish by the time I finished my list, and I would seem really smart. But yeah, I thought I was trying to outplay it, but there's a reason I only play Skarner. Anyway, Twisted Fate's the last one. They still don't want him in the game. And for Team Liquid, the first pick will be the Syndra for themselves.
No Crocs allowed. I like the Syndra pick here a lot for TL, not only because we've seen that it's actually pretty successful, PoE played it well, but honestly, it's the most proactive pick that I think PoE is comfortable on. So by denying that, you're kind of pushing PoE onto something that either he, A, isn't as comfy on, like maybe the LeBlanc or the Lucian or something like that, or B, you're saying, okay, you can only play Orianna or Azir again. Right? So that is really what I'm curious about. Like, what is the answer here for PoE? Does he want to go towards another aggressive pick that he's maybe not as confident on? Or will he go to his wheelhouse? But it didn't work out the first 2 games.
All right, well, they lock in the Lee Sin for TSM. They go for the LeBlanc as well. So Syndra, LeBlanc, we know we're getting that in the mid lane. Those were the 2 champions that you named before we even saw any of the bans as these sort of emergent mid laners that seem to be the most successful, and now we get the head-to-head.
Yep, so he's going to be on that LeBlanc. Has been pretty good on it throughout his career. 26 games, 57% win rate there. So it's not as though he hasn't played it a lot. It's just not really what he's known for. It's not his bread and butter. But it's going to be exciting because this is one of those explosive matchups in the mid lane. When you're playing these kind of burst assassins or whatever you want to call them, if one gets ahead of the other, you can start to 100 to 0 them pretty quickly, and it can become incredibly difficult. It's a very heavily skill matchup. Can the LeBlanc avoid these scatters with the distortion while still moving aggressively and trading heavily? Camille plus Xin, clear plan to go towards the top side to lock him down. You can play through that side lane heavily with it. And instead of going for an early answer here for Huni, they're instead prioritizing the Bard once again. Something that maybe isn't going to be as good in the 1v1. You know, Huni will be denied some of those picks potentially, but the Bard can move to that side lane, can help to assist what will be a champion playing in that side lane against the Camille. And this is going to be really interesting because I'm expecting TL to ban out some of these picks that they're maybe a little bit more worried about from Huni, things that they think could be a good answer into the Camille. I don't know if Huni's going to go crazy here, but you know, something like a Jax, if you want to play, you know, power for power, answer in that side lane can be an incredibly strong matchup into the Camille. I don't know that we will see it because it's not really been something that Huni has gone to. But he is one of those guys that has supreme confidence in his own skills. And if there is a player just kind of busted out in a high-pressure game, I think it might be him.
Okay, well, we got the Jace banned away, so that's not a possibility there in the top side. What is going to be TSM's second ban besides this Nautilus? Still got a little bit longer to think about it. They pretty much know where all 3 of those champions on the side of TL are going. Yes, Syndra could be flexed into the bottom lane, but you much more expect Jensen to play it. So do we go for another support ban? Do we go for an 80 carry ban?
I mean, if they want to ban out more of the engage that could go towards the Alistar, I like the Ezreal ban because it's kind of trying to accomplish a similar thing in a different way, right?
Okay.
It's basically saying you can't have the safety of playing this Ezreal 1v2 in the bot lane, which would allow CoreJJ to move up to the top lane and play around there, right? Yeah. Because when you lock in the Bard, you want to roam. The whole series has been about top lane, let's be honest. It's been about both teams getting up there, who can be more effective. And if you can put Tactical on something where he requires the presence of his support to stay safe, then you can limit CoreJJ's ability to roam just kind of by proxy.
All right, Tom Kench banned out now. They don't want to have Camille having to deal with that in the top lane 1v1. What will TSM pick here? We know their mid laner. We know their jungler. We know the support. Ooh, maybe Jarvan we don't top. Know their...
I think it's Jarvan top.
Either way, we're getting Jarvan, and it could be Jarvan top.
I think it's going to be Jarvan top. It could be just Lee Sin top and then Jarvan jungle. That's also a possibility here. Spica has been so good on the Lee Sin, though. And I have not seen much Jarvan all of these days. It will be really, really interesting. It does have the ability to obviously, kind of fill a similar role to Lee Sin, but the engage is, I would say, like kind of less explosive because you don't have the displacement. Jarvan top used to be something that was kind of mixed in as far as top lane. You can play just like grasp Jarvan, Q poke through the wave, go for these short trades with your W, with the auto, with that grasp proc up onto Camille and gonna go for this somewhat tanky build. Galio coming through here with Camille.
Galio, really man. That's some nightmare fuel right there if you get engaged on. There is no way out. Well, there might be one way out. Remember that one thing that Camille does not like is yeet abilities, of which Lee Sin has a very iconic one. So there is the potential to remove the Hextech ultimatum by knocking her out of it with that. Yeah. But that's about all you got. Man. And on the side of TSM, they're looking to maybe lock in this Aphelios here, and that will be their hyper carry. There's your late game insurance at the end of the draft.
I really would have liked Tristana so much more, I feel like. Aphelios with the Bard as your support, like, where is the safety against Camille, Xin, Galio, Callista, all these champions that want to dive in on you, stacking on top of you? Yeah, exactly. Like, something like Tristana, at least you have a shot if they dive on you, because you can actually bust your shot to Camille out of her own ultimatum, and that breaks the tether, then you jump away. Also, Scales similarly strong. I do think this is going to be an incredibly tough game for Lost, and he hasn't had the best track record in this series, has been, I think, struggling in some of these games to stay safe, and this is going to be an incredibly tough one for him. Does look like it will be Jarvan jungle, Lee Sin top, so Mooney just going to be kind of going toe-to-toe here with Alphari, but you're going to get heavily outscaled, and Lee Sin is taking a lot of nerfs as far as the soul lane goes. So it's like your early game isn't even that dominant against this Camille anymore. Your wave clear with the Emax is so much worse than it used to be. So it's tough, because if you don't create an early advantage as the Lee Sin against this Camille, you are going to get so hard outscaled in the side lane that you're pretty useless in the 1v1. So then it's just about, can you make plays? And we have seen, to Huni's credit, him make some really good plays around Baron on the Lee Sin for TSM to find these big picks, to find these big kicks. And it's going to be a lot of reliance on that. I just don't think Jarvan can duel against the Xin. I don't think Lee Sin can really duel against the Camille later on. So it feels like a lot of pressure on TSM again to get stuff done early, but TL has so much early power that it's tough to really find those windows here, I think.
And here we go. Game number 4 of the series. A win here is a win for the whole thing for TL. They will continue on in the upper bracket. If TSM wins it, we're going to Silver Scrapes. Level 1, let's see if we get anything on this. Remember, last time around, there was a bit of level 1 action with an invade from the side of TL. This time around, everybody's playing pretty safe. Dash over the wall there from Power of Evil just to set down a ward at the red buff. I like this. Utilize the LeBlanc mobility and snapback to get that ward down safely. Just keep track of where your opponent is starting. And yeah, nothing much more than that.
It's going to be the W start for Bard as well. So sacrificing some of your laning power in that 2v2 to be able to basically give, extra potions. Like 2 of those cupcakes are Hakokos, whatever you want to call them,
whatever
is basically the equivalent to 1 potion, because each of them are like a 70 heal or thereabouts, depending on how much AP you have and so on. So it is pretty nice. When you are trading heavily, you can sometimes get a pretty big advantage just by having those 2 extra little heals there for you to grab.
Good stuff there from Sword Art, just being the support Power of Evil needs before the game really even starts. As Power of Evil and Jensen, man, last time around, Jensen was the one who was made to play the fool. Power of Evil just coming out on top there in game number 3. You know Jensen wants to be able to pay him back on the same champion here in game number 4.
Absolutely. It's going to be this skill matchup. It's going to be Power of Evil trying to avoid the scatters, trying to hit as many skill shots as he can, while Jensen is trying to nail that scatter to avoid the chains being completed. If you can get far enough ahead, you can really start to run matchups like this where your opponent cannot contest you in trades anymore. It becomes incredibly difficult. Huni trying to utilize the early game power here of the Lee Sin, push in, use the E, safeguard just kind of on yourself for that leech. Just shove, shove, shove. Try to make it difficult for Alphari, but with the grasp, as long as you play around your passive on Camille, even against early game champions like Lee Sin, you can trade pretty effectively. You know, auto Q with the grasp proc that passive shield for physical damage reduction, and the trades can go okay with you. And that's why I think this champion is just so scary. We might see EQ flash here from Jarvan, could look for the early gank.
Okay, Jensen with the Scout of the Week there stops Power of Evil from really being able to do anything that he wants to do. The chains come out. Jensen knows he won't get out of the range, so he tries to just stick around, grab a little bit of trade damage back. But yeah, Spica not getting a lot out of that presence mid lane.
Yeah, Power of Evil, if he doesn't want this to crash, he's got to start really trying to thin out this wave, because Jensen's just hard shoving. He's spending all his mana to push in the wave, and it will crash. So the hot Coco's there, not really getting any sort of advantage. And Huni gets connected with that hook shot.
Okay, but now it's Team Liquid looking to make the play here on the bottom side. They've already gone in with Galio and Core. JJ sets him up. Santorin knocks him down. First blood, Team Liquid.
Nice play there from TL. TP down. Core JJ flashes in. Santorin is there as well. 4 members bot. They kill off Sword Art. They deny the wave. So Tactile has double the farm right now of Lost, who had to flash away to even survive, getting denied experience, getting denied gold. And on the top side, Alphari was having a pretty successful trade himself, you know, just trying to hit the outside of that tack sweep for the healing. If you can keep Alphari locked in a long lane, it can go more your way, but we can watch this one more time. It's the wraparound here from Xin. The TP's coming in. Core JJ, immediate flash. As soon as that hits, you're going to be taunted up. You're going to be taken down. Lost had to flash out of the taunt range so he could survive. But the price is very, very high as they lose a plate, they lose the farm, and the kill goes over.
Team Liquid starting off game number 4, looking pretty strong. Power of Evil with the chains on Jensen. Roots him up. Sword Art's here for a little bit more. Stun into the wall. Jensen at 200 HP stays alive.
Yeah, no cooldowns there for Power of Evil to actually follow it up. He had used his full combo. If he still had a rotation of spells, he maybe could have gone in to try to follow that up. But at the very least, Jensen has TP'd and Power of Evil has not. So if you get a big winning trade like that, you can force Jensen to base at a bad timing. Force him to actually lose some of those minions. But once again, Core JJ up to the top side. Just clearing out that one ward and placing a control ward of his own is really impactful, because that takes away the safety that Huni had. He can now not play in the face of Alphari at that tower, so he's going to have to base.
Okay, Team Liquid feeling all right about how things are looking here very, very early on. Jensen stacking up the tier, and we'll see if TSM find a response here early on, or if they're cool just sort of letting things move forward. Teleport returning to the mid lane now for Power of Evil. Remember that Jensen has already used his teleport, so Power of Evil now, with Jensen needing to go back to base, will have control and priority over this mid lane as Sword Art continues just roaming around on this bar. The importance of roaming in this series cannot be understated with how much impact we've seen both teams have all over the map very early.
Yeah, it's been absolutely massive. The supports have been everywhere, Bard becoming pretty important, and Sword Art, every time he roams here, even if they don't find a kill,
the Scout of the Week on the 2. Jensen trying to get all the way away. The flash will keep him alive. Jensen keeps his cool and stays safe.
Man, Jensen is so good with those little micro dodges, sidestepping the Bard Q there as he flashed in. If that hits, you're just dead, because you're going to see the flag and drag follow up. You're going to have the Scatter of the Week follow up, or rather the chains coming through. He nails the scatter. He dodges the Bard Q there. Really well played from Jensen. And they're just trying to set up another dive here, potentially onto Lost. Core JJ has the wraparound. Lost knows there's a chance, so Spica's being called down. It could be Core JJ in a little bit of an awkward spot if they spot him, because he has no flash available, so he's actually kind of just got to like hide out right now until Santorin arrives.
Stay very still. All right, Core JJ with a blast cone gets himself away. There will be no dive to be found onto Lost here just yet. Remember as well that one of the other parts about this Kalista, it's not just the offensive capability at level 6 to throw Galio in like that bowling ball. It also enables Core JJ to play more aggressively and look for plays of his own, knowing that if he gets in trouble and Tactical is nearby, he gets out for free.
Absolutely. You know, it can play in the face of your opponents. Make sure you're moving and posturing aggressively to land taunts on some of these squishy champions on the TSM side that want to be playing aggressive.
Lots of pings all over the place from both sides here as we're looking to coordinate our next moves. 7 minutes in, Drake still has not been taken. We've also got ourselves about 45 seconds or so until that Herald spawns. We'll see how much attention is paid to that one. Teams have been prioritizing it pretty heavily so far in this series. Core JJ joins up with Jensen here in the mid lane. Looks like they'll just move to push this out. Jensen is down to about 1/3 there on the mana, so he wants to make sure that he's got his buddy there to help him push it up. Power of Evil going in. Chains down on a Core JJ, and the distortion back means the outplay for TSM. Jensen's now stuck inside the Cataclysm. Santorin's trying to get a kill, and he gets it. 3 Talon strike in the last hit, make sure it happens. Power of Evil now doing a lot, trying to get the last little bit of damage onto Jensen, but now he'll get jumped on. There's your double kill back to Santorin, and it's a bloody battle here in the mid lane.
You cannot ignore this Xin Zhao Santorin running over him. Huni here on the roam. There's no flash on Santorin, so if he can get in there, they could get this kill.
He immediately puts a bunch of damage into Sword Art to make sure that he cannot be a part of the chase. He turns it around, he gets himself out.
Yeah, fighting out of there by Santorin. The ulti was also huge because he has the mark on the Bard, so he can actually ulti Huni away from him there, not allowing Huni to get behind him, because Huni would have wanted to try to kick him towards the tower to try to secure that kill, but the ulti comes out, denies that potential, and Power of Evil setting this up really well. Lands the chain, Sword Art is there. We know that Spica is arriving as well. Snaps back after the chain is landed. Spica able to pick this one up, and then Jensen locked down. But this whole time, look at that damage coming through. The ulti from Jensen plus Santorin is just running wild. Power of Evil gets scattered back, has to commit the flash, didn't have any spells available to finish him off besides that. And now Santorin's 3-0. He grabs the Herald, and he's going to be in such a strong position here, such a commanding spot in this match point game for TL.
And this is the kind of guy that you want to have those resources and have that lead and put the ball in his hands, right? Santorin has been popping off here for this squad. He seems hungry to get back in here and prove himself after having those difficulties this split. Huni goes for the kill, but he kicks Jensen away without enough damage, meaning Core JJ can try to go for the counter punch and force the flash out of the TSM top laner.
And Huni's kind of just not about laning anymore. Already, this early on, he's moving towards mid. He knows he's got to make plays. He knows he's got to snowball. And every time you walk away from that Camille lane, the Camille is on that ticking time bomb, just getting closer and closer to getting to this point where you cannot contest in the 1v1, where Camille is going to run over this Lee Sin in the side lane. And I think we're really approaching that point here pretty quickly. Already up in gold, probably going to get 2 plates at least, and then base with the wave pushing towards him. LeBlanc is moving up, so if Alphari overstays, he could be in trouble, but we'll back it up, and he's going to be getting pretty close to the Divine Sunderer likely here.
And that Divine Sunderer power spike is oh so scary. The burst power of the thing, the trading power in those really snappy short engagements, the extra sustain you get out of it, very, very effective item. As Huni will clear out this cannon. Nope, okay, hits Alphari with that one. If Alphari had stepped up enough to avoid that Q, Huni could have potentially face-checked, and then there could have been some problems.
Yeah, because Huni spent his flash and his ulti in mid lane, right? So you are not in a position to take the 1v1. And when you are getting outscaled and you're having to play on the defensive, it's definitely really tough. And Alphari is just, honestly, such a tough nut to crack. He's so good at laning that he puts so much pressure on you to get things done against him, but he handles that pressure incredibly well.
And he doesn't take the bait on stuff like this either. You can see how far forward Huni was, just trying to dare him. Santorin with the second auto attack on the ward to make sure that the next one will be the knock-up. Just a little bit of extra Xin Zhao mechanics there, but it's not enough. He can't close the distance to get that third attack onto Huni.
Yeah, those are the kind of ward mechanics you want to see.
That's like the equivalent to the butt twist on Skarner. It's like, this is a very basic champion that doesn't require a lot to play, but here's one cool thing you can do with it.
Yeah.
All right, Shelly, let's see what we can get done here with the Rift Herald. Nicely done from Sword Art. That's one of those things that Bard is just oh so good at, is stopping the Herald, rotating around, following the Rift Herald play, and denying a valuable use of that.
Just a great read on when Santorum was going to drop that. Knew he was up around that top side after they had that little skirmish. Had the read that it was going to be getting dropped, denies the value there. That would have been the tower almost dead, to be honest, because that's just a hair over 3 plates, so it'd be down to like half a plate or so left, and could have potentially been that first tower gold into Alfari's pockets, which is such a tough position to be in. But TL moving down towards this bot side, trying to control vision here and threatening around this blue buff and around the dragon area.
Yeah, even though Team Liquid misses out on the money from that Rift Herald charge, FTX gold advantage still 1,500 in their favor in these first 12 minutes. Santorin, Core, and Jensen all working together to steal this blue, and Jensen will do literally just that. Just yoink it away, make it so there's no contest. Santorin with the good timing on the auto attack to secure the Scuttle Crab as well, and Team Liquid get what they came for when they get right back out.
Yep.
Now,
backing it off.
For TSM, we'll see how well this Aphelios can continue scaling. Because remember, you had concerns about this in the draft, saying, where's the protection? How do you keep this guy alive? Lost hasn't been having any issues so far. Yes, he's a little bit behind in farm. But again, it's Aphelios. We know what he does if he gets to all those items that he wants, if he has the right guns. So I'm very curious how much attention TSM is going to be paying to him as we move forward and get closer to those bigger team fights in that mid-game phase.
I mean, mostly it's just been about trying to make plays with Lee Sin, with Jarvan, with LeBlanc. That is kind of your core squad that they're trying to make things happen with. But they haven't really been able to make much of an advantage. Yes, Lost is there as kind of that late game win condition, hopefully. But only thing he has to keep him safe is Flash.
Okay, Santorin wants to disengage as Power of Evil and Spica make an attempt on his life. Core JJ immediately ready to respond with the ulti here, going after him. Power of Evil is stuck in the Hex Tech ultimatum. It's pretty easy to tell which one's the clone when it walks away and the other one is trapped. Easy pick up there for TL, and with that kill on the enemy mid, they will earn themselves the first Drake of this game. 13 minutes and 45 seconds in.
The whole series just about top lane. Dragon's not in the top lane, Flower, so you don't need that.
An astute observation, my friend. I see why you were a world champion.
Well, Alfari TPing down, grabs himself a kill, feeling good about that. And yeah, I mean, Lost can scale up. Lost will have threat in the team fights. The problem is just going to be how do you stay safe when you get Camille Galio ulted? Because that's going to be it, right? You know, it's going to have to be some sort of like defensive Bard ulti to keep him safe, or try to kick the Camille out of her own ulti so that you can then maybe flash away from the Galio ulti. But it's really, really tough to stay safe against these sort of compositions that have so many ways to close the gap, to get in on you, and you don't have a Thresh or something along those lines, Tom Kench or whatever, to really keep you safe from that dive. So Lost is going to have to position well. And if you position too defensively, well, you don't do any damage. So there's always that trade-off, right? You got to be in the mix, but not stepping too far forward and going down.
All right, Tactical will be assigned to deal with Huni up here in this top lane. Not too afraid of him, just farming up. Core JJ makes his way up into this top side as well, clearing out some of that vision, providing more of a threat, forcing Huni to play respectfully and not give away anything else. TSM still keeping the gold lead roundabout where it was before a couple minutes ago, and they're looking for a play, maybe on Alfari.
Yeah, they want to make something happen. Alfari's just been farming away.
Nope, flashes away from the Bard ulti. Good job there getting the Summoner spell, but that's all they're going to get.
Yep, something nice for them, but they will lose their tower on the top side. Not sure who's going to get first tower, as LeBlanc's working away on that one as well, but it does seem like... Oh, Huni.
Whoa! Huni's going in as Tactical tries to stick around without the minion wave for the last couple of autos, and Huni successfully denies it.
Yeah, he's trying to win that race for them for first tower, but it just doesn't seem like Power of Evil can get the wave in fast enough. And the tower on the minimap is looking still pretty healthy. I think it has about half, so they will collect that first tower gold. Tactical going to be in a good spot off the back of that. And now, Herald drop mid. This is going to be so much damage down, but Sword Art doesn't have his ulti. So once that's on cooldown, once they saw that use bot, they know it's free reign to use the Herald here mid.
And there she goes. Mid lane tier 1 turret about to crumble, but they don't have the damage to seal the deal. They will be able to return, however, at almost any point, throw a couple of auto attacks in and knock that over. So TSM needing to play around that now. As Huni backs away enough for Tactical to make his way back into the lane. Keep on farming these up here. Just clear the wave out. 159 CS in this game. Second highest only to Huni, who goes in looking for the kill, looking for the play. But it ain't gonna happen, because League of Legends is a team game. And Huni tries to flash in for the sneaky kill, but it's just disaster.
He flashes back in, but his ulti wasn't even up when he died. So I'm not sure what he could have really gotten done there.
Flash,
the Word
slap.
Drinker was on cooldown. The ulti was on cooldown, and you could smell the desperation here a little bit. As Huni went with this early game pick, they haven't made anything happen, but they are looking for a play onto Alphari.
Alphari hook-shotting off of the Jarvan terrain, trying to see how much of an outplay he can get here. Power of Evil's already down. Spica gets stunned up, and the damage continues pouring through. Spica at 200 HP, Jensen in hot pursuit. Alphari getting stunned up by the Bard ulti means that they cannot pursue that further, but very well played from the TL top laner.
Yeah, TL are running this game. Victories on both sides. Huni tries to make a play in top side. He dies. Power of Evil TP's in, commits the flash. Everything used there to try to kill off Alphari. They don't even get close. Jensen arrives. Power of Evil dies. And yes, Spica gets away, but it costs him his flash. It costs him so much, and they're even going to lose this mid lane tower now. TL are absolutely running away with this game.
What's the secret, Azael? What does TSM got to do to stop this? Because it just seems like TL wins across the map.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just didn't get nearly enough in the early stages, right? You're playing Lee Sin into Camille, and you're actually down on gold. They tried to roam and make plays, but that's not really happening. Compositionally, I think it's very difficult. They were trying to get a little bit clever here with the Jarvan, but the Jarvan really hasn't gotten anything done, and it's just going to be kind of a lot less useful than the Xin. So it's up to playmaking. It's up to, a spectacular kick, to a pick from the Bard or from the LeBlanc. It's got to be something like that, because, it's getting to this point where when Alphari hits 2 items, even with Lee Sin and Jarvan there, you like your odds to 1v2 them or to at least escape, right? It's just like they need so much damage to actually even threaten this guy anymore.
He's so strong on this Camille. Yeah, he's down some farm. Who cares, right? The Lee Sin is the one out farming you, and this is not a champion that's going to scale in the same way as a Camille is. Second dragon of the game about to spawn now. Spica jumps in, doesn't find the knock-up. Alphari says, all right, cool. Just steps right back away. Continues defending the turret here on the front line, making it so it's harder for TSM to move up and try to contest this. Huni jumps in. They want to try to take down the turret, but it's just a bait. Tactical's here, and they're ready for the 2v2. Tactical putting the spears into Huni. A little bit more damage gets it done, and now Spica's the second one. They get it all. They get the Drake. Sword Art can't help, and TSM is falling apart in Game 4.
Lost gets the tower mid, but you lost the dragon. You lost 2 kills on that top side. They have been well and truly outscaled in the jungle, in the top lane, and Power of Evil is just not strong enough to really have an impact in this game. Tactical is 3-0. He's getting to this unassailable position where he's going to have the early wit's end. No longer are you going to be afraid of Power of Evil, who's kind of down on gold from where he wants to be, against a Kalista who has a defensive build and is up on gold.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
So impossible.
It is tough. It is a hill to climb right now for the side of TSM. Team Liquid, however, with those first 2 Drakes in pocket and the Mountain Soul possessing the Rift, they now have another win condition that they can keep playing for over the course of the next 10 minutes, and it will be up to TSM to be able to respond to this. TSM have only found 2 kills the entirety of this game, and they're going to have to get something else. You brought up the pick potential, right? The playmaking. Something with Bard and Lee Sin working together. Some sort of an unfair fight, because anything on even ground against TL right now isn't looking good.
The most difficult part is that how do you even find that pick? I mean, we saw that Spica and Power of Evil actually caught out, kind of air quotes, Alphari, and they're the ones who end up dying because the TP response comes through and they can't actually burst them down. So it feels like at this point, the overwhelming force you need to kill someone in the side lane is basically 3 players, right? You need Bard to maybe show up and have both Huni plus LeBlanc, or maybe, Spica plus Huni plus Bard. Maybe something like that could really get it done in a side lane if you can find that play. But then you're committing so much to that side of the map that there is a real risk of losing too much on the other side.
Yeah, there's always an opportunity cost to any decision that you make, right? And when you're already in a spot where you're down 3,000, 4,000 gold, not that far into the game, those opportunity costs feel even worse. Because when that play doesn't work out, you're like, oh, that was supposed to be our chance to come back into the game, and now we're even further behind, and it just continues snowballing against you.
Yep. It's a really, really tough spot. TSM clearly wanted to try to go for something early, for something aggressive. They wanted to try to throw a curveball here with the Jarvan. It did work for them in blue side, last game, going early and aggressive. They were able to kind of create an advantage. But Lee Sin as a laner, to me, just feels like so much weaker than even that of what the Renekton is. You have got to make plays with this champion. It's all about, finding kicks. The lane dominance just isn't really there anymore, even against this champion like Camille that kind of is just a scaler. Jarvan as well. It's like, sure, if you can find the really powerful early ganks, that's great. You kind of have that explosive engage with the flag and drag, but Xin wins every skirmish against you. Xin can gank too and outscales you, has better survivability with the ulti. So it's really tough, right? I think that the draft was super smart from Santorin, and it feels like they've kind of painted TSM into a corner a bit. Going blue side, taking away Syndra, knowing that PoE still wants to go aggressive, still wants to have an early game power pick, but is not going to be as comfortable on any outside of that Syndra.
And I'm loving how Alfari is using his Hextech Ultimatum on Power of Evil in every applicable situation, because that's one of the difficulties with LeBlanc, right? How slippery she is. Distortion, she can get back away. The clone's going to make 2 of them. It can be difficult to kill this champion. It is not difficult to kill this champion if the fight starts out with Hextech Ultimatum, with Galio coming in on top. It just feels so difficult for PoE or anybody in that situation to be able to navigate it.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard. So we'll see if TSM can find something to really turn this one around. We'll let you know as soon as we find out any info on the pause. We're just waiting for that. But TL feels like they are cruising. They have Dragon advantage. They have Gold advantage. I feel that they have compositional advantage, side lane advantage. So they really kind of have everything going for them right now. And we've got to see something spectacular from Huni, from Power of Evil, Speak, Sword Art. These are the guys that are kind of that X factor.
Yeah.
Maybe if Lost can get to the late game, if they can buy enough time for this Aphelios and he can somehow stay safe, then they can make something happen with him. But for now, it's just kind of reliance on your teammates and hoping that they can really make a special play happen to keep your upper bracket run alive.
Yeah, we're looking at Aphelios scaling up, but usually when we talk about these late game scaling champions, it's like 3 items is the point that you're looking at. So, hey, if they can reach 3 items and that gold lead hasn't bled to 7,000, 8,000 or whatever, sure, it might look all right. There's also always the Bard factor. Any game that Bard is in, Bard has this ability that very few other champions do to just completely change the landscape of the game, equally for better and worse. He is one of the few champions that you can actively grief your teammates with, but he can also save situations that would be otherwise impossible. If we can see Sword Art pull off an ulti like the one that we got out of Core JJ in game number 2, where he ends up just ulting one guy just a hair away from the other guy and then gets the stun so that you can make sure you have all the damage poured into one person, that changes the game. But damn, is it hard to execute.
Yeah, it's really hard to execute. I mean, when you're going these kind of tanky Bard builds, when you have high CDR, if you're landing multiple Q stuns in a fight, that can be game-changing. If you're landing those perfect ultimates, that can be game-changing. But it's difficult to execute on. Core JJ's job is going to be easier on the Galio.
Yeah.
You pretty much ult defensively, offensively, whatever, it's all going to work. Your carries are so strong at this point. Ready checks coming through. We're back into game here.
All right.
TL looking to continue snowballing. And TSM just trying to hover. He's on a ward. Does he not see that?
Okay. Well,
Question mark ping there from the TL side over onto Huni. So they obviously spotted him. He was sitting on that zombie ward. And all Huni really can do is just move around the map and look to make plays.
Yep.
And then all TL has to do is anytime you don't see Huni, you play defensively. You allow the Camille to stay up. You allow that Camille to just keep grabbing farm because he's in a great spot.
Sword Art with a little bit of damage there on to Core JJ, which actually ends up being more than you would initially expect, because by the time the Meep auto attack hit Core JJ, he was over the wall, so the AoE hit Baron. It made Baron angry, and Core JJ lost about a third of his health. So a lot of value out of that auto attack there from Sword Art, but it is still Team Liquid who are firmly in control of this game. Nearly 4,000 FTX gold advantage 22 minutes into the game, and they want to push that advantage into enemy territory. Get down some vision, choke them away from these resources, take the buffs, take the camps, and just start making that economic lead impossible.
Yep. And you can tell they want to play heavily around this Baron, trying to deny vision in this area, move into TSM territory, take away jungle camps. Alfari doing this on the bot side. Sword Art is shadowing Huni to try to attempt to look for a play, but those two, I don't think they are going to have any chance of killing the Camille.
No.
So really all it's doing is just trying to keep him safe at that point, right? The Camille probably can't commit in and actually kill while Bard is there. So it does allow Huni to actually at least push out the wave, but when you're roaming just for defense, when you're roaming just to try to grab a wave, it is a tough position because you want to be playing aggressively on the Bard. You want to be looking for those picks, and he's just not really in a spot to do it.
Man, talking about being able to play aggressively, Team Liquid has so many options right now. I already talked earlier about the ability of Core JJ to do whatever he wants because he has Tactical who can save him at any time. Now Alphari has also purchased a stopwatch. This will be able to build into a Guardian Angel later, and for now, it'll give him the ability to issue that Hextech ultimatum on the Power of Evil, go hard, go for that kill, and then, hey, if there's a bunch of aggro back, sorry, timeout.
I think it's really smart. I mean, honestly, one of the only ways that TSM will win this game is if you can just start chain picking off Alphari in the side lane. And having Merc Treads, having that stopwatch makes it very difficult to actually find those picks, especially as you get to later stages of the game when Alphari is not that squishy, when he has a short cooldown on the hook shot. So he knows what the win conditions are here for TSM and is going to try to itemize to prevent a lot of that.
And I also think Syndra's got an extra small advantage in these situations where you're trying to steal away enemy jungle camps and fight over blue buffs and whatnot, because it's never really a fair fight with Syndra there. You just steal it, you throw it somewhere like 100 units behind you, and then, hey, that's yours. They're not in range. Cool stuff. Jensen and the rest of Team Liquid are going to continue owning this map. Core JJ is going through that magical journey. Spica gets taunted, but a nice use of that EQ combo gets him away safely, buffering through the CC. Core JJ looked like he might have been in danger there for a second, but loses about half HP, gets out. You still have Huni versus Jensen down there in the bottom lane too. As Huni goes in, looks for the kick onto Jensen, but the scatter the weak into the ulti means Huni does not want to be sticking around much longer. 400 HP, Alphari is here, but with Sword Art also showing up, no play.
It's a good play, though, for Huni. Moves aggressively. Yes, he's the one that has to retreat, but Alphari uses TP there to actually defend his mid laner. So it is something for them. Unfortunately, you cannot contest this dragon. They didn't actually get the pick. They can't push through. They're not even looking to do it with Power of Evil pushing on this top side. You can see Lost is grabbing the red buff. Spica's just trying to get vision around that Baron. So it is now sole point here for Alphari. And when we're talking so much about kind of the X factor of some of the champions on TSM, you really are relying on bursting someone out right off the bat. And it's going to be so much more difficult with that console.
Oh, it just pulled him right back in. The Hextech ultimatum. But the flash from Sword Art will get him away anyway. Nicely done there. As Huni tries to bait something out.
Yeah, Alphari, I think he absolutely misclicked through that portal. He went through the portal. Instead of actually killing off Sword Art, he goes over the wall, has to use the stopwatch there as well. So an oopsie from him.
Yeah, those are unlucky sometimes. And the Hextech ultimatum was actually perfectly placed to not allow Bard to stay on the other side of the wall. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. Alphari, let's take another look at how he played this.
Yeah, it's just about the pick on the Sword Art. And I thought they had it for sure, honestly, with Syndra here as well. You get snapped back. Now let's see. I think he just clicks too close, to be honest. Yeah. He was trying to reposition his tack sweep and just click too far to the right and just gets pulled through. Because if you actually click on that portal, you're going to get pulled through even if you're not directly on it.
Oh, Tactical could be in some danger here, but it's Core JJ coming to the rescue. And goodbye to Sword Art. Rampage for the Team Liquid AD carry. Spica gets away with a whole bunch of spears in his back. He cannot return to the front lines in that condition. And with the pick on the enemy support, TL goes straight to Baron.
Yeah, I mean, they have Kalista. He's going to heal right back up to full. He's going to help you to secure this. It looked like TSM was probably trying to move for an aggressive play. Core JJ just ults in, shuts that down completely. And this Baron's dying so fast. It is not a 50-50. Spica has no flash.
Core JJ flashes over the wall for the taunt, looking to immediately force this fight against TSM. Core JJ walking away now with TL having secured the Baron. Nice stasis from Core, making sure there is no punish from TSM. Huni with a good kick, canceling the Camille ulti. Team Liquid continues the chase. Santorin using the ulti to make sure he doesn't die now. TL is looking for more. Sonic Wave won't find much over the wall there. TL disengaging. TSM, there's nothing to find here. Power of Evil continues the chase, but nobody else can go with them. And that means TL gets Baron and they get away.
Yeah, they have a ton of gold. Just go back to base, spend it up, secure your advantage here. Get ready to push these side lanes, extend that advantage even further. They already are running the side lanes. Now they have the Baron buff to just extend their gold lead, to increase the FTX gold advantage, take down the tier 2 mid, take down the tier 2 top here. Luxury items coming through. Santorin grabs the stopwatch. the third item already completed for Tactical. He gets a Zeal on top, and they're one dragon away from Soul. It's so hard to see a TSM come back from this spot. TL have just been bulletproof in this fourth game, and honestly, they've been bulletproof in 3 out of the 4 games. It's starting to feel like Game 3 was just a blip on the radar because TL have ran the series from the blue side, and the only win that TSM were able to grab was on the blue side themselves.
Power of Evil going for a little bit of damage here onto Santorin, but it won't do much. Lots of pressure here from TL. 4-man mid, and then you've got Alphari in the side lane, pushing down bottom. 1 minute and 30 seconds until the Mountain Soul spawns. If Team Liquid gets it, you have to feel like things are just utterly doomed for the side of TSM.
Yeah, I mean, TSM have some wards over by that dragon to maybe make something happen, but they have no vision in their own jungle. That's the biggest problem. They're being pushed in on all sides here. The Baron buff is going to last until that dragon is spawning. They do proc shield both there, a nice little combo coming through from Power of Evil, but Tactical just back it up, get access to one wave. He'll be right back to full here. So unless TSM can try to force a play immediately, it's not going to really result in anything.
Okay, TSM moving together, looking to maybe find something here. Nope, that's Alphari. You just can't try to force any sort of a play onto him, even if you just find him there in the jungle. He is so slippery on this Camille, and now that he's drawn some attention away, the rest of Team Liquid feels comfortable pushing towards the tier 3 turret here. In mid lane, they've got that enchanted cannon minion, putting the damage into it as well. Santorin steps up a little bit far, but not too far. TSM can't get the punish there. Power of Evil dashes forward, looking for a little bit of anything, but he won't get it. Core JJ with the ulti as the TP comes in, and Alphari's ready to join the fight. Santorin's on the front still. Tactical at 1/4 HP. TSM will manage to defend the tier 3 turret for now.
Yeah, TSM trading very aggressively there. Good job actually defending this Baron push. They force out the TP from Alphari, but the problem again, Soul is on the table. Can they actually get over there in time? It's going to spawn, and it's going to go down so quickly. They're TPing for it. They know this could be the game.
They're going for the TP now. Hooney's ready to try to fight and contest, but it's going to be secured by Tactical. Hooney now stuck in the Hextech ultimatum with a good Dragon's Rage to get away. The stasis goes through to keep him alive for an extra moment, with Sterix also doing the same, but now a very nice stasis from Jensen sets TSM up for disaster as they will crumble. Lost tries to stand and fight, but Tactical's ready to go. It's Power of Evil against the entirety of Team Liquid, and they will march this wave into the base.
Welcome to the World Championship, Team Liquid. They're gonna punch their ticket.
There is nothing for Power of Evil to do here. The damage in the last team fight, Core JJ did more than 3 players on TSM. That is how dominant Team Liquid have been here in this game. Nexus turrets are already going down. Power of Evil's looking for any chance to maybe just waste some of their time. All he does is give over a kill. There is nothing more to be found. Sword Art with an ulti, only to buy an extra moment. The auto attacks keep on coming through. Team Liquid keeps on going. Now they're going to turn around and go for a couple of kills. They will kill Sword Art once more. Team Liquid, 3-1, takes down TSM and earns themselves a spot at Worlds.
They are running over the upper bracket.
They slammed Cloud9. They slammed TSM. This team is frightening.
They absolutely are, and they have got to be heavy favorites for the LCS Championship. Coming off of these 2 series, they have looked so solid. TSM came into it with a very clear game plan to punish top, to play red side, to go at Alphari, and it just didn't work. TL were too solid, too bulletproof here. Alphari's laning was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Team Liquid, more importantly, it was a team effort to actually cover any time that they were at risk, anytime that Alphari was going to get dove, that nail would actually be hit home, that they could create such an advantage they couldn't come back from. There's 2, 3, 4 members up there protecting him on the dive, turning plays around, and honestly, it just felt like TSM figured out what they wanted to get done too late into the series. If they were to rematch, I think it maybe looks a little bit different, because I think TSM would abandon the red side strategy completely. They play from
Start on blue.
Because that's the only win that they got.
Yep.
But, given that it came in the 3rd game, TL have side selection in 4, they go to blue again, and they just close it out. That 4th game was not close at all. They dominated.
And I want to go back to what you were talking about in game 1, because this series was so fun to watch because of what you were talking about, not just from Team Liquid, but similar things from TSM, the rotations and the team play and the covering those plays, and specifically what you said, like, hey, a game with Lee Sin and Xin Zhao can have no kills early if both teams are constantly responding and denying it over and over and over again. So I thought that despite the fact that it looked pretty one-sided for TL, we got to see some cool things from both of the squads here. Obviously, TSM did have a really good game 3, but unfortunately for them, you got to get more than one, and it was Team Liquid lining them up and knocking them down here in this series. I have been informed that our player of the series is Mr. Santorin on a tear through the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely well-deserved. He was crushing it across the series. You're talking about covering his top laner. He was one of the key components of that. He was up there at the right times. He was being efficient with his time, keeping up or ahead with farm, finding kills, finding the right timings to actually protect Alfari when he was at risk. And in their wins, 2 deaths across 3 games in their wins.
That's pretty good.
Absolutely dominant.
I'll take that. I'll take that any situation.
Yeah, game 1 was all about the coverage on top side, so he has no kills or assists, but it was about the inaction that actually put them in an advantage. Games 2 and 4, 4 kills and assists in each of those. Pre-15, he was just crushing it, and it looks so good to have him back, to have Alfari back, the intended squad that we saw at the start of the year.
Yeah.
This is the squad that, did make it to the spring finals. They weren't even able to use Santorin, unfortunately for them. But, they are just looking terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I look at, right? So many people looked at Team Liquid coming into this year, and they're like, wow, holy moly, man, that's a super team. But then just issues and problems and circumstances beyond their control, we never really got to see the full Megazord assembled. And now you understand why it's the thing summoned at the end of every episode to kick ass, because that's what they do. And it's pretty incredible to see, because they've got a plan, because they come in looking clean, and because even when they don't, even when they lose, like game number 3, they bounce right back in game number 4. Hey, we'll have Jensen joining the analyst desk a little later on, but right now, we're tossing things over to Dash on stage with Alfari for our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much. Captain Flowers here with Alfari after a 3-1 victory over TSM and booking a trip to Worlds. I just want to get your initial reaction, knowing that you will be representing North America on that international stage.
Well, I'm just really happy and full of adrenaline right now, obviously. It's been a weird split, but I was always pretty confident that come best of 5s, we would have an advantage over all these other teams. So yeah, I'm just really happy, but coming in, I would have been absolutely shocked if we would have lost. So I'm not too surprised, but it still feels really good. And obviously going to Worlds for me after not making it in a while is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, sweet vindication right there. Talking about that confidence, though, actually, I did peep your Twitter 3 days ago. You threw out the predictions for all 4 of the series, and it was this series that you called 3-1 in TL's favor. That's exactly what happened, but I'm curious, when you take or think about it from a play perspective, did it break down the way you thought it would? Did both teams come to the Rift with what you expected?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't expect anything particularly new from TSM. I think they've shown the same style and the same weaknesses all year long. And they were a little bit better in summer, but I think this was just because of how much they practiced and because of every other team being worse. Like us and C9 were a lot worse in summer. So I think they were pretty much the same as always. And yeah, there was no reason not to feel confident.
Absolutely. This was a very interesting series from the perspective of uniqueness of picks across multiple lanes, and we had differing matchups across the series. But it is also interesting to me how series metas develop. So I'm curious your thoughts and perspective on this series in particular, because we had things like the Bard being brought out by your team first, but then being picked away twice from the side of TSM. We had the Ziggs bot lane. We had the traditional ADCs. We kind of had a little taste of everything. Even in the top side, we had plenty of focus, plenty of carry matches. We had the Wukong that you had to play into. As a pro player, I know you have a whole staff of people behind you helping you guys prep for this, but there seems to be an infinite number of scenarios. So really for yourself, how do you walk into a best of 5 that's different, let's say, from a best of 1?
We just have multiple picks prepared, I suppose, and multiple different ways of playing. So TSM is a team that likes to play through top as well. We are as well, and it just turns out that our 2v2, me and J, is better than, Hooney and Sawdust 2v2 because they're better duo lane.
Spitting facts.
So yeah, it was just about having like multiple strategies prepared, and they had very similar ideas of how to play the game and how to play early game. Which they were okay at. I think they're the best early game team aside from us, probably. But yeah, they have the same weaknesses mid late, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say actually because they just have to play, but yeah, they were just the same, and we had multiple strategies prepared, and we had better duo lane.
Let's talk about your next opponents now. You already made top 3, but of course, we also want the title. We want to be that 1 seed going into the World Championship. So it's 100 Thieves next that you have to take down. Another team that's been very interesting to track throughout the regular season, in which they started really hot, then seemed like they were falling off. A lot of people starting to predict EG in that series, and I think 100 Thieves surprised in many ways. So as you look at that matchup just a week ahead of now, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought EG would win as well. I didn't really watch the series. I was streaming, so I was like watching it in between games.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident playing against 100 Thieves too. I think that, yeah, they also have pretty similar weaknesses to what they've shown throughout the whole summer. Obviously, they are better, like much better this split with Abadage, and I think their bot lane is playing really well. But yeah, I think we are just all coming together really nicely. And like I said, we have strategies prepared. I think all our players are putting the effort and doing good. So I'm not feeling particularly threatened by 100 Thieves either. And yeah, I was surprised that they won actually against EG.
Will be cool, though, to see that clash of styles, as you talk about, as they are a different style team than you are yourself. Final question for you is, when you think about North America on the international stage and having stepped into the region from outside, I'm curious what you think you and this Team Liquid roster can bring to the international stage that might change the fate of North America.
I mean, hopefully we get out of groups. That's the whole idea, right?
There we go. But how do we do it, man?
We just play good League of Legends. We play through top, we duo lane with me and JJ. That's the idea.
There it is. That's the recipe for success on the international stage. First, they're going for the LCS Championship. Alfari, congratulations on a big 3-1 victory today.
Thank you.
From here, we're going to, I'm gonna have you step off. We're doing something new here on the LCS. Alfari, thank you so much. Once again, congratulations. I've got Power of Evil joining me. Power of Evil, thank you so much. I know it's tough after a hard-fought series like that. 3-1 fashion, though. Just want to get your initial thoughts coming off what happened today. Where was the breakdown?
Well, what can I say? TL just showed up as a better team. I think they just outfought us and outplayed us in certain situations. I think you could see in Game 3 that when we actually won out on the bot lane fight, that we actually could snowball the game. But in the other 3 games, it just felt like they would just win out on the Herald fights, they would win out on the Dragon fights, and just the first game was the closest. I think we could have maybe gotten that home, but it felt like they just had a better scaling. So it was rough. It was rough.
I asked a similar question to Alfari around series meta and kind of the way it develops, but we had very different looks out of these two teams today than some of the others throughout the postseason already. Again, calling out things like the Bard. Not the first team to bring out the Wukong, but it's still kind of unique, at least in some senses. We had the Ziggs in the bot lane. We've got you playing Azir, where other mid laners have not yet here in the postseason. How do you feel about TSM's general meta read here in the postseason? Do you think there is a best, way of winning, a best meta, a best team comp, or is that something that you guys specifically worked out as your best avenue of winning?
Well, obviously, as Alfari said, we are obviously trying to play our style, trying to play our meta, what fits us the best, with what we had the highest win rate in scrims and throughout the season. But as you could see, that we branched out a little bit. We picked other champions, we tried other styles, and obviously adapted throughout the series, trying to pick up the Bard, which was really strong against us, and we didn't really have an answer for what he provided. So we tried to take that away. We tried out the Wukong on the top lane, or in the last game, the LeBlanc, having that playmaking opportunity. But as I said, I think what it came down to was actually, like, maybe it was drafted a little bit, but I think a lot came down to these certain situations, these certain fights. Even the last game, I feel like when we had the 3v2 in mid lane, I think that should have been like a 2-0, but there's just like little mechanical mistakes, and we just lost out on these.
From game to game, when you have little moments like that, right? But you're still required to play out the rest of the game. But you get back into the locker room, you're discussing with Bjergsen and the rest of the crew, them with the bird's eye omniscient, perspective, and you with the in-game perspective. How do you work through those things in the limited time you have between a game 3 and a game 4 to figure out what you want to change?
Well, obviously from game to game, you just quickly like recap. How did we lose? Why did we lose? Like trying to figure out what's the reason and what's not the reason. And obviously, and then additionally, when you're like kind of like your back is against the wall, we just tried, okay, now we're on the red side, we just try maybe like more aggressive style or more early game. I think we're a pretty good early game team in general. So
Alfari said the same.
yeah, so I think we just try to kind of start like change it up, since they would win out on the early game fights. So we felt like, okay, let's try to get some more early game power, and didn't work out, but that was the plan.
Unfortunate. From here, though, you're still very much live in the postseason. You drop to the lower bracket. Your next opponent is going to be Immortals. So I want to get a few thoughts from you, not only on that matchup, but what will now be the road to capturing that third and final seed and possibly, again, the LCS title, as we do have 2 teams already locked for international competition.
Well, I've been in the lower bracket before, so
Yep.
with FlyQuest, I think we just need to be ready against Immortals. If we can beat them, honestly, I believe that the lower bracket run is actually pretty good for teams, because you can get these games, you can get this experience, and you can kind of like get that momentum as a team to like hold together. Every game is like matters so much. Obviously, we wished for that we went the upper bracket way, but yeah, I think Immortals is a strong team. They're definitely not underestimate, like we shouldn't underestimate them. But we did pretty good against them in the regular season, and I think they definitely have their style as well. They are scary things, but I think if we prepare correctly and we play better, then we can win.
I mean, let us not forget, you guys are the #1 team from the regular season. So this is a team to be reckoned with, a team to be feared. Power of Evil, while it wasn't the result you wanted today, I do want to thank you for an exciting series, an entertaining one, and for taking the time with me here on the stage.
Thank you as well.
From here, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, it's Jensen joining the State Farm analyst desk to break down the rest of the day. We'll catch you there.
Can't believe that Daniel deal you got me on my insurance.
Daniel, State Farm offers surprisingly great rates to everyone.
Sure you do. You want to meet the queen?
I'm not dressed for that. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yeah. All of my life, man, they counted me out. Not many people are doubting me now. Even some legends are shouting me out. I promise there's nobody stopping me now. My haters look angry, I'm popping. My name will never be forgotten. Running this game, I ain't jogging. Opponents know that I'm a problem, ayy. Always considered the underdog, that is just crazy talk. Don't you be sleeping on me. Promise my skill isn't under y'all. I win the one-on-one win is the reason I breathe. No one believed in my vision, but my vision crystal clear from the beginning I've seen. My competition can't handle me. Greatest of all time, I am just destined to be. I came to win. They all know that I came to win. I came to win. Step on the stage, I'll amaze again. I came to win. They all know that I came to win. I came to win. Step on the stage, I'll amaze again. These days I feel like the champion. My winning streak only just begun. Facing my fears, I don't ever run. Always been driven to get what I want. Guaranteed one day I'll be the GOAT. Never had much, but I always had hope. Moving so fast and I don't plan to slow. If I'm in the game, then I have control. Always considered the underdog, that is just crazy talk. Don't you be sleeping on me. Promise my skill isn't under y'all. I win the one-on-one win is the reason I breathe. No one believed in my vision, but my vision crystal clear from the beginning I've seen. My competition can't handle me. Greatest of all time, I am just destined to be. My competition can't handle me, no. My competition can't handle me, no. My competition can't handle me. Greatest of all time, I am just destined to be. I came to win. They all know that I came to win. I came to win. Step on the stage, I'll amaze again. I came to win. They all know that I came to win. I came to win. Step on the stage, I'll amaze again. wheels fall off. Catch my drift, pop my clutch. Pedal, metal, skirt, peel off. Top peeled off, choke on my dust. I want it all, but it's never enough. I've been running the map, I'ma keep it a buck. I've been so far ahead, it ain't no catching up. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. I'm running it. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. I'm running it. My foot on the gas and I'm pumping my brakes. Yeah, get out my way. Yeah, give me some space. Yeah, better do what I say. Life on the run, I be making these moves. Say what I wanna, can't walk in my shoes. Do what I wanna, I'm nobody's fool. Now I'm on top, hate to give you the news. If you did it, I done it. You do not run it. Your tank is on E, now let's keep it 100. You running on fumes, I'm taking no breaks. It is worth having if you gotta wait.
Hello and welcome back to the Bud Light Breakdown. Following a Team Liquid victory, we are joined by mid laner Jensen. This makes 3 series throughout the year against TSM that Team Liquid has pulled off the 3-1. I know last time we heard from you last week, you were talking about how C9 is a tougher opponent in your eyes compared to TSM. Are you still aligned in that statement?
It's hard to say. I think C9 kind of underperformed a bit. I was expecting C9 to play better. So right now, I'd say they're like probably about the same level, to be honest. I think we had the exact same score against both teams. Although I will say, playing against TSM, from my perspective, was a bit more annoying.
Wait, annoying?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we talked about this a little bit off camera, but yeah, how was your time in mid lane today with so many people visiting you?
The party.
I don't know if I landed against Power of Evil or Sword Art more. That was, it felt like every time they were really good at playing vision control around mid for sure. And then, it felt like every time it happened, 1v1 macro happened, then Sword Art would usually just go to Power of Evil's lane. So yeah, I had to play a lot more cautious. Some games I didn't as much as I should have, but
Yeah. So, I know we do want to get a little bit of reflection on the last game that we saw. Before we do, bringing up the draft, though. Some surprises coming from our end in watching, for sure.
So I wanted to get your take on when you saw the Jarvan locked in, because I have some opinions on how this happened. How surprised were you at this particular pick for jungle and flexing the Lee Sin?
yeah, I mean, we thought there was a chance they would flex the Lee Sin and then actually pick Olaf. But then we also thought they wanted a ganking jungler with the LeBlanc. But I don't think any of us ever thought that Jarvan was actually a pick. But I mean, for me at least, it's a bit scary playing against LeBlanc and Jarvan. So, I mean, honestly, the pick made sense. But I guess the execution just wasn't there.
Sure. I'm actually curious about your draft in game 3. In both series now, it feels like you guys have pivoted away from what worked game 1, game 2, and then you try something game 3, doesn't necessarily work, and then in game 4 you go back and smash. So what's going on game 3, man? Like, what's the mindset?
I mean, we had an idea that they might pick the Syndra first pick since it's one of his comfort picks, and to be honest, he doesn't play too many champions. But we thought the Orianna Trundle could work against it, and we could just outscale. Unfortunately, the game didn't exactly go the way that I was hoping for. So I kind of died a lot. But then, I had some acorn, and then I just had to refocus and be ready for the next game.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these moments. I feel the need to also acknowledge that Tactical is emphatically waving at us over on the side. Your biggest fan as you are here on the desk, but. Yeah, looking back to how much attention was spent to you mid during this series, it felt like it was the same during the last series, right? Do you feel like you have become a continual focus in all of these cases?
I mean, playing around mid lane is obviously really important, and I think that's something they've been doing really well this series, but it's also something I feel like we're pretty good at dealing with. We're usually a team that can deal with pressure very well, but also pressure well at the same time. But with the picks they had or went for, it was hard to really find a response, I guess, other than, just try to survive and scale. So that's kind of just what we went for, and it works some games.
I know Cold had already talked about this in his interview, but obviously this is going to be also a very topside focused game. So with so much attention also paid to, topside counter picks for them, what was your role as a mid laner in terms of how much you guys knew that TSM was going to focus topside and mitigating that pressure?
I mean, I think we kind of have the same idea when it comes to top lane snowballing. So we're both just trying to attack top lane as much as possible. But it also kind of depends on the picks, right? So sometimes we have to be a bit more passive. And yeah, I mean, I'd say we're pretty flexible as a team. So we can kind of do a bit of both, right? Like if we don't pressure top, we can pressure mid or bot. But yeah, top lane was definitely like something we kept in mind a lot during the series. And it was kind of just, we tried to attack first as much as possible, but they were kind of like, they kind of had the same idea too.
Yeah. That's actually something I want to talk about, like sort of having a more passive playstyle versus a more aggressive one. You know, before this roster, you know, TL was characterized by being more team fight oriented, late game scaling. Then earlier in the year, you were slamming people early game. Then sort of you would move between early game aggression and then passivity. How do you guys think about your team identity now? And do you feel like you have a style that you want to play, but sometimes you're forced not to? Or is it just game by game?
I mean, it's kind of just game by game. Ideally, it's always easier to play if you have the more aggro team comp, I guess, because you can make more stuff happen in the early game. And I kind of felt like we had that most of the games, except maybe game 3 and 4. I guess game 4, we kind of had it, just not mid lane as much. And then game 3 kind of dropped the ball. But yeah, we try to like focus on having the more proactive team comp, but we're also very flexible in the terms of like, you know, if you want to just play for scaling and go late game, we can kind of do that too.
It was very clear coming into playoffs that you all had a lot of ideas in how you wanted to execute and becoming really aggressive in this style of play. But now that you have been through a couple of best-of-5 series and you're obviously thinking about moving on through playoffs, you have qualified to Worlds and how this prepares for that. Are you all gaining or just thinking about what you are gaining from these series in terms of that preparation, getting the chances to get this best-of-5?
I'm not really thinking about it too much myself. I mean, it's obviously nice to go to Worlds, but yeah, I mean, these best-of-5s are obviously really good practice for us, just in terms of how we want to develop as a team and what we want to focus on. But you know, the meta could easily change as well, so we're kind of just taking it one series at a time, and you know, we'll see where we end up.
Yeah, who knew we'd get a Bard meta today?
I'm here for it personally. So after you guys beat TSM, you were saying, or sorry, C9, you were saying that you thought TSM would be easier, right? And now you beat TSM in a pretty dominant fashion. Who's difficult? Who's going to actually be difficult for you guys, in your opinion? Who's the scariest opponent remaining?
I mean, I thought before this week that it would be EG, but they didn't really perform that well against Honey Thieves. I thought it would be a lot more one-sided. So I don't really know. I think we're better than all the teams. But yeah, I actually have no idea who would be the toughest opponent for us at this point, because I felt like in my head, I thought it would be C9 and then, you know, potentially TSM, but I think we had a pretty comfortable time against both teams. So I feel like we're the best team.
Nice.
And we'll talk in a moment about who your upcoming opponent is in that matchup. But we do have one last task for you, Jensen, if you're up for it here on the desk. So for this weekend, we do have our Samsung SSD Fast Clear Fantasy. Here's the deal, Jensen. You can use any champion you want, any summoners, any runes. They'll be at level 18 already, full items available to you. The objective here is to clear completely one side, either red side or blue side, alongside both of the scuttles. The timer will start as soon as you deal the first bit of damage, and it will end at the last monster kill. I know you're not the jungler on your squad, but have you given any thought to how you're going to tackle this?
Well, he has a cheering section. That's about
Yeah, there's a whole
So did you say?
Yeah, just come on over. Yeah.
Was it two sides? Just one side?
Just one side. So
just red
either
or
blue
blue
side or red side, plus both scuttles.
They'll give you some tips.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, you got.
I'm gonna show Lucas how to jungle.
Yeah. So Santorin.
He's the leader right now. Yeah.
Oh, he's the leader.
So maybe he won't give you any tips.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to want you to swipe away that spot. We can go ahead and get you a setup here at the Best Friend Testing Station. I am very curious to see what champion you
Are you guys ready for this one?
Oh, yeah, you got to get the squad. Get the squad behind you.
Okay. We're gonna play some Tryndamere, yeah.
Oh,
Baby.
It's still back for cleaning the Kruggies, no? Kruggy? No,
Is it?
It's pretty quick. You have full items. Oh, okay.
Okay. Do I just buy items now?
Yeah, you can buy whatever items you want.
Gale Force? That must be the best.
Yeah, Your
Movement
full
speed,
build, yeah.
swiftness.
Perks was the first to think of getting
Maybe
an
CDR.
elixir as well, by the
Avoid
way.
for sure, right? Not voting. You want the perma E. I
This has move speed.
We're
This
gonna
has move
see if
speed.
the peanut gallery hurts or helps. Honestly.
Buffer nerf.
What about is this good?
Oh, I think it's good. Oh yeah, I think
It has CDR too. This must be the best
but
build.
not 100%. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're turning actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm set. So I just go up here. Okay.
Starting as soon as you get that first bit of damage.
Okay.
Don't forget to right click.
Once you attack, that's it.
Yep.
Ready? Wait, can I wait reposition this guy?
Yeah, you can wait for
You
it
can
to.
Okay, guys, we have to wait. We have to wait. Coffee break. It's
Subtle
gotta move.
can troll.
This is already next level thinking.
I know.
Okay.
How come you didn't do this like this? I did that.
Okay. Can I? Okay. Are you guys ready? Fuck! I should. Oh, I should have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God!
nice.
It's not
Oh,
bound.
the wall hops.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh, it's not bound. It's not bound.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Pretty good.
I like the theory already. It's like a
Yeah.
built-in clear and wall hop.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Wait, this is the best set.
Yeah, working very well so far. All right, so this
is
is what
definitely
this
up there.
trips people up. You have to get every single one.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? Oh yeah.
Oh, we got him.
Yeah, you beat me. With flame.
Wow, this is up there.
This is super fast.
Wow.
1v9. Was it?
Free.
I didn't have a dash for them.
Oh, okay.
I messed up. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I messed up.
What was my time?
Nice. Well, we'll find out. You
we
can
will
come
find
join
out.
us again here at the desk, and I love all the
I think
enthusiasm from the
you
whole
might
team.
have beaten
Yeah,
Torrent's time.
mixed emotions.
I mean,
Hey man, you got player of the series. He got this.
I did say I had to show Lucas how to play.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Yeah, you had to teach him a bit of a lesson.
Yep.
So, did you feel pretty smooth with all of that execution?
It felt a bit bad that I didn't bind my Gale Force correctly, but I think I was pretty efficient with time. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt pretty fast. It's always a little tricky when you're watching it. You don't actually know the timing on that, but I feel like that's going to be one that's going to zoom to the top.
There was another Tryndamere too. I forget who. One of our producers played Tryndamere, but he definitely did not go as fast as he did. So.
Yeah, we've.
Oh, there it is! 5.24.
Jungle Kingdom.
Oh my God.
That was fun.
Wow.
Santorin has been defeated.
Yep, I gotta get the look over there. He's handling it fine. He's handling it fine. So really tight between y'all. Only a little sliver of a difference there. Props to you from the mid lane position. Now we do have that part complete though. After locking worlds and continuing your run, I do want to get your thoughts on the bracket as well. Team Liquid is facing off against 100 Thieves, as we said, next Saturday, fighting to lock in their spot in the LCS Championship as well as a bye into group stage at Worlds. So I know that we heard from Alfari a bit on the stage about his thoughts on 100 Thieves, but I want to know from you, seeing them go against EG, especially with the aggression coming from Closer, for instance, a lot of control that he had, what is your evaluation of how they are playing right now compared to at the end of the regular season?
I mean, I definitely thought they were overrated during the regular season, and they were starting to play progressively worse during the end of the regular season. But they definitely picked it up. I didn't think they would beat EG, but they played a pretty convincing series. So it's not going to be super easy for us, but it's still going to be a 3-0.
Is it crazy to you that because 100 Thieves have qualified, I know we have been baffled by the fact that between TSM, TL, and C9, only 2 of the teams can actually make it through. Do you feel that being on a team like Team Liquid that has many titles under your belt, that adds an additional pressure to make that Worlds appearance and go through?
In a way, yeah. Like, I think it should be expected for us to make Worlds. So it feels nice to, make it. But to me, it was always a given that we would make it. I was always confident. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just happy we did it.
Yeah. So, given that it was a given, what would make you excited from this point about your performance, either regionally or at Worlds going forward?
Well, it's been a while since we've won LCS at this point. So I think winning LCS and then having a good performance at Worlds would be nice to make it out of groups again. That's also been a while. But yeah, just have a good international showing and winning playoffs, ideally winning Worlds, but I don't want to get flamed too much. So I'm
No. Say it louder.
we'll see what happens.
Love it.
You're only a series away from getting into that final here in the LCS playoffs. It's so close, everybody. Jensen, thank you so much for stopping by after this victory.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
That concludes all of our LCS games for the entire week. 4 days of play we have enjoyed. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the analysts, and the entire live broadcast crew, and all of Team Liquid that has come to join us here in the studio for the final moment, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for more LCS, everyone. Until then, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night. Bye.
See ya.